Hi, welcome back to Story Recap 6.
Today, I'm going to explain a romantic thriller film from 2005 titled, The Ballad of Jack and Rose. It follows the story of a father and daughter, who live on an isolated island. When the father invites his girlfriend to move in, his daughter gets jealous of her, as she is in love with her father. To know what happens, please watch till the end. The film is set in the year 1986, where a Scottish farmer, Jack Slavin, lives with his daughter Rose on an island. The island used to be a hippie commune decades ago, but now builders want to build houses in the area and settle with their families. Jack is trying to do everything he can to keep the builders away from the island. Rose, on the other hand, is a beautiful teenager, who grew up isolated from the outside world. After her mother left the family, Jack homeschooled Rose and took care of her. Jack has a heart ailment and he doesn't have much time left. So he tells Rose that they should hire someone to help them. But Rose doesn't want anyone else to come into their life and angrily leaves. She runs to her treehouse and starts crying. Jack goes after her and tells Rose that she will leave before he dies. But Rose replies that the day he dies will also be her last day. For Rose, Jack is the only person in her life she loves and is afraid of losing him. Without him, Rose will be completely alone, as she has no one in her life except Jack. After telling her a story, Jack leaves for a nearby town, saying that he has some work to do. After reaching the town, Jack goes to the house of a woman named Kathleen. She is the girlfriend of Jack and they have been in a relationship for some time. Jack asks Kathleen to move into his house and live with them. He also tells her that she can bring over her 2 kids as well to live with them. Kathleen accepts his request and asks him if Rose knows about this, to which Jack replies that he will take care of her. Jack returns home and tells Rose that he has invited some guests to stay with them for a while as an experiment. The next day, Kathleen arrives with her 2 sons, Thaddeus and Rodney. Jack and Rose welcome them and help them get their things. But after seeing their luggage and belongings, Rose realizes that they are going to stay for a long time. Rose is disturbed by the arrival of the new faces and feels cast off from her own house. Rose is upset with Jack and leaves. Jack goes after her and tries talking to her. But Rose is angry with him as Jack had kept his relationship with Kathleen a secret. Jack explains that this is just an experiment and nothing else. If Rose starts liking Kathleen and her children, then they can all stay together. But if not, then Jack will ask them to leave. Later that day, Thaddeus approaches Rose and asks her to show him any nearby places where he can catch snakes. Rose takes him to the woods and Thaddeus sets up his trap. Thaddeus is attracted to her, but Rose doesn't like him. Later that night, Rose returns home and heads to her room. On her way, she hears Jack and Kathleen laughing. Rose enters a small room to spy on them and sees them making love in bed. She goes to her room, takes off her top, and looks at her body. Rose develops a strange jealousy towards Kathleen, as she feels that Kathleen is stealing Jack from her. Rose goes downstairs topless and asks Rodney to mate with her. She thinks that if she loses her virginity, then Jack will love her again. Rodney is shocked by this and refuses to mate with her. He tries to reason with her, but Rose pursues him to mate with her. But Rodney is a man of commitment, who politely turns her down. Instead, he gives Rose a new haircut. After getting the haircut, Rose grabs the shotgun and heads straight to her father's bedroom. Kathleen wakes up and is scared to see Rose pointing a gun at them. Rose is startled by her and drops the gun, which accidentally misfires. Jack takes Rose to her room and is in complete disbelief. But he soon forgets about the incident and thinks that she did it just to scare Kathleen. However, Kathleen thinks that Rose has some psychological problems and suggests Jack to send Rose to schools for children with problems. But Jack gets upset by this and tells Kathleen that there is nothing wrong with Rose. All he wants is for Kathleen to take care of Rose after he dies. Time passes by, and Rose and Rodney become good friends. One day, a man named Gray comes to their house, who often deliver flowers to Rose and Jack. Later, Rose requests Gray to teach her how to kiss. Gray explains to Rose that her first kiss should be romantic and accidental, not planned. Rose tells him that he can romantically kiss her, but Gray refuses and leaves. One day, Rodney and Rose go to the docks to receive Rodney's friend, Red Berry. After reaching home, Rose shows Red Berry her treehouse, where they have fun all day. Later that night, Rose goes to the woods and finds a copperhead trapped in Thaddeus' trap. Rose decides to bring it with her. While returning, Rose catches Red Berry and Thaddeus mating in his car. Since Rose was turned down by both Rodney and Gray, she decides to lose her virginity to Thaddeus. Rose returns home and puts the copperhead under her bed. Later, Thaddeus enters Rose's room. Although Rose dislikes him, she allows him to mate with her. Due to the vibration of the bed, The lock of the cage drops open and the copperhead escapes into a hole. After Thaddeus leaves, Rose checks her sheets, where she finds bloodstains and dances in excitement. The next morning, when Jack is chilling outside, he sees that Rose has hanged her bloodied bedsheet in the front yard, and has written, "Just an experiment." Jack is devastated to learn that his daughter has been ruined. Just when he is about to scold Rose, Kathleen cries out loud, as she sees the copperhead in the bedroom. Jack tries to find the copperhead and get rid of it before it kills anyone. Meanwhile, Thaddeus finds his cage under Rose's bed. Rose explains that she just wanted to scare Kathleen and nothing more. After dealing with the copperhead, Jack confronts Thaddeus and gives him 1 day to move out for ruining his daughter. Later that night, Rose holds a screening of a homemade movie about the hippie commune in her treehouse. While everyone enjoys the film, Thaddeus tries to kiss Rose. Jack is furious at him and attacks him. During the scuffle, Rose pushes Thaddeus, who then falls from the treehouse. Kathleen is angry at Rose and tells her to leave. Thaddeus survives the fall and is rushed to the hospital. Rodney asks Rose to come with him and leave the island. But Rose politely declines, saying that she can't leave Jack, not in his current situation. But Rose is upset with Jack for not having the courage to express his love and runs away. She goes to one of the housing developments to spend some time alone. Jack waits for days for Rose to return home, but she doesn't come back. Jack is tired of waiting and heads out to find Rose. He finds her in one of the housing developments and apologizes to Rose, saying that he should have never let the outside world in. He was scared that after his death, there would be no one to take care of Rose. Rose says that she doesn't want to see Kathleen again, not after what happened at the treehouse. Jack realizes that he has to choose between his girlfriend and daughter. So he leaves saying that he has to take care of a transaction. He returns home and offers Kathleen $10,000, then $15,000 to have her move out. Kathleen agrees to leave at $20,000. Jack returns to the housing development and tells Rose that Kathleen is leaving. Rose is overjoyed with the news, as it's again just the two of them now. Jack and Rose spend the night there as Kathleen will be leaving the next day. Jack lies down on the bed and Rose joins him. As they look at each other, Rose kisses Jack. Jack is shocked by this and cannot believe that his daughter is in love with him. He also blames himself for allowing her to kiss him and cries. The next morning, Jack wakes up and is still haunted by the memory of the kiss. He gets on the bulldozer and destroys the housing development. Later, he and Rose go to the house of the housing developer, Marty Rance. Jack wanted to tell him that he destroyed the housing development. But Marty says that he can build it again without any problem. He also offers Jack a huge sum of money to purchase his land. Jack breaks down as he has no fight left in him and agrees to sell his land to Marty. Rose is upset by his decision and doesn't want Jack to give up. But Jack has made up his mind as he wants Rose to have a future. Rose and Jack return home and see that Kathleen has left. Jack is now very weak because of the heart ailment and doesn't have much time left. The next morning, Rose wakes up and sees that Jack has died in his sleep. Since Rose had originally planned to kill herself when Jack would die, she lies next to her father and sets the house on fire. But sometime later, she changes her mind and escapes. 2 years later, Rose is now living in Vermont and works at a greenhouse where Gray also works. She is pursuing her passion for gardening and is living the life her father wanted her to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you did, subscribe if you're new. And at last, I'll say stay well, stay safe, thanks.